Sample Magic's lo-fi beats is an assortment of distorted drums and ethereal synths perfect for the intersection between trap, vaporwave and future funk, while at the same time offering producers of other electronic genres a slice of analog authenticity to sonically smear their productions with some dirt, grit, gloss and sheen. The pack contains bass, drum, effects and synth loops at 128 and 140 BPM, as well as drum one-shots and 12 customizable Ableton racks, which we'll be looking at today. For those of you who are unclear, an Ableton rack is a self-contained instrument or set of audio effects that allows us control over various parameters contained within it via the use of what are called macros. Within the pack, there are 5 Ableton drum racks, 5 instrument racks, and 2 audio effects racks, some of which we'll be detailing in this video. All of the loops have their key in the file name, but due to the lo-fi nature of the pack, they sound great pitched up and down, even by drastic amounts. All of the samples and effects used in this video come straight from the pack. We've got some Sample Magic Boost on the master to beef everything up and glue it together. Let's start off at 141 beats per minute. We've got a drum rack, effects, bass and chord loops, and a rack for a Rhodes instrument. Let's start off looking at the drum rack. This contains 5 macros for tuning various elements of the kit. A spring reverb, a gated distortion, and sample degradation. Turning our attention to the Rhodes loop, we've got individual controls for morph and decay of different chains, as well as some lo-fi effects. We've also got an inbuilt tremolo. This sounds particularly good when turned up into audio rate, giving it an almost ring modulated sound. The rack's also velocity sensitive, so I've used Ableton's Velocity MIDI effect to introduce some random velocity values. Reducing the random control will narrow the scope for different timbre qualities. On Send A we have a Spatial effects rack. This contains a low-pass filter with LFO modulation, a dub delay, and spring reverb. In example 2 we have a similar setup. We have a drum rack, loops of bass and chords, and a pad instrument also included in the pack. Starting off with the drum rack, we have 5 macro controls for tuning different elements of the kit. Live allows us to use clip automation to set up automation in session mode, allowing us to tune our kick like a pseudo bass line. Additionally, we've got macros for a bias tape saturation, grungy distortion, and a phaser flanger effect. The rack for our pad starts life as a simple sawtooth, and with not very much work at all, we can easily place it within the mix. Reduce the low pass filter and increase the amount of vibrato and release. We also have macros for chorus and reverb amount. This can also benefit from the spatial send we used in the previous example. Moving down to 128 BPM for this example. Our drums are made of a more swung and tripleted feel. Using the distortion and crapped out amp, combined with a bad signal, will give it a much glitchier feel. And using quite drastic tunings of the macros transforms it to something completely new. On return B, we've got a dynamics processor with some compression, distortion, downsampling, New York compression, and some filtered noise. Here we've taken two instances of the same loop with different tunings, and using Live's follow actions, we can sequence between them in session mode. In this last Atmos instrument rack, we have two independent macros controlling volumes for separate chains that are run in parallel. Our top chain has some filtered noise. The bottom chain has a vocoder where we can shift the formants. If you have Max for Live installed, you can use any of the MIDI effects to modulate macros. Here I'm using a jittered sine wave to modulate our erosion plugin. In our last example, I'm using one of the included audio drum loops from the pack. Starting off with our drums, we can transform this Lin using the return from our last track into something much more aggressive. For the bass, I've paired one of the included MIDI files with one of the included racks. Increasing oscillator 2, the 4-bit filter, broken amp and tube parameters can add some much needed grit to the sound. Increasing the LFO and pitch envelope will take it into almost unrecognisable territories. With our chord instrument, I'm going to reduce the low pass filter. Increase the amount of vibrato, release, and chorus. This can also benefit from some of the send we've used in the previous examples. The sounds used within this video were from Sample Magic's Lo-Fi Beats sample pack, including drum loops, drum one-shots, drum racks, bass, chords, synth loops, effects, cassette loops, as well as the instrument and effects racks. Head over to samplemagic.com to get yourself a copy now.